Okay, fans, I've got an update podcast here. A quick report on developments in spring training for the Giants and the A's. This is a baseball podcast straight out of Sacramento called Curveballs and Changeups. It's for Giants and A's fans. My hope is that Giants fans who tune in learn something new about the A's, and for the same to be true for the A's fans. Who said fans can't love both teams? Unfortunately, we've got some bad news on the injury front for both the teams, the Giants and the A's. Starting second baseman for the A's, Zack Gelof, was removed from the game Wednesday after getting hit on the hand by a pitch and may be out for a bit. And the Giants' top designated hitter, Jerar Encarnacion's hand injury is serious. He'll be out 4 to 5 weeks with a hairline fracture to his glove hand ring finger. It's a big blow for the Giants. Encarnacion was really establishing himself this spring as a guy who could be a middle-of-the-order threat, a guy who brought different skills than anybody else has. He's got great bat-to-ball skills. He has a good off-field approach. He's got real nice power and a great game awareness, a situational hitter of the highest order. And the Giants really were looking forward to this bat plugging into the lineup. He had hit .302 and 55 at-bats in spring with a team-high 7 doubles, had 14 ribbies. And so that will be on the shelf for a while. They say 4 to 5 weeks, could be longer. Depends on how his finger actually responds. My question is, he was in there for his bat. Did he really have to dive for a fly ball in a spring training game as a late inning replacement? It's really too bad. You can't tell your players not to play hard, especially if you're still trying to prove yourself. But Encarnacion was more important with the bat than the glove. Well, with injuries come opportunities, and so now it's the next man up. Right now, it looks like Grant McCray might be that guy. He won't be a one-to-one replacement for Encarnacion. And the situation with McCray and others to step in is tied in with Jung-Hoo Lee and his health status. But first, so McCray did start today in center field against Arizona, and he may stay there if Jung-Hoo Lee isn't ready to go. If Lee is ready to go, McCray still may make the roster to fill Encarnacion's roster spot. But if Jung-Hoo Lee is not ready to go, it would be McCray in center field, and then they would have to add somebody else out of a group of 3 or 4 potentials. I would say that Casey Schmidt might be one. David VR could be another who would go straight into the designated hitter spot. And then, of course, Brett Wisely is on the bubble. We don't know if he's going to make the roster or not, but he could be the person who fills that spot. McCray may be the fastest on the team. He's done well getting on base this spring with 9 walks, second most on the team. And that's really important given his swing and miss tendencies. He struck out 16 times already. But if he can get on base, he can use his speed, a dynamic that the Giants don't have really in too many other places in that lineup. Tyler Fitzgerald comes to mind as the only guy who might compete with McCray that way. So, and McCray, brings excitement to the game and on the base paths and his outfield play. He is a dynamic outfielder, probably the best center fielder on the team. And he's hitting only .239 in spring. He has 5 stolen bases, and that's his value. Luis Matos is another center field candidate, though the book on him is that he just was overwhelmed a little bit in his stint last year in center field, though manager Bob Melvin has said that he's done much better this spring and is considering him as a center field replacement if Jung-Hoo Lee isn't ready to go. Matos has hit well all spring. He's hitting .317 through today with a couple home runs and 11 RBIs. But in terms of the DH, I would say that right now Wilmer Flores would be the top candidate to fill in the DH spot. Although I can see Melvin rotating other players in and out of from their positions to the DH spot, like Lamar, Wade, and others. So the challenge with Jung-Hoo Lee is to make sure he doesn't push it too quickly just to get back by opening day. He's going through some back spasms that have kept him on the shelf for at least a week. I was glad to see Lee providing a fairly sober perspective when he was talking about returning. Quote, he said, opening day is very important. If I'm going to be ready for opening day, of course I'll be on the field. But opening day is just a game out of 162 games. I'm looking at this as a long run. If I'm ready, I'll be there. But if not, if there's more time for me to adapt, I would like to use that time for sure. He was actually speaking in Japanese with his interpreter providing the English. So this comes as the Giants break camp. Their last game was today in Cactus League, and they tied the Arizona Diamondbacks 7-7. Justin Verlander had his last tune-up, and it was his roughest outing of the spring, giving up 5 earned runs and 9 hits in only 5 innings. The Giants avoided the loss with a 3-run bottom of the 9th inning to tie it, so remain at league best 19-6 in spring training. And they are getting ready to play an exhibition game tomorrow, Sunday, against Sacramento, the River Cats. And what's intriguing about that is that there are a lot of players on the River Cats who are just cut by the Giants, and they'll be facing them. For instance, the pitchers who will be going against the Giants tomorrow all were sent down today. Kyle Harrison, Keaton Wynn, Joey Lucchesi, and Tristan Beck. Maybe Beck was yesterday. But they're all slated to pitch against the Giants tomorrow. And then the pitchers the Giants will throw at the River Cats are the ones who pretty much won out on the competition for the last spots on the roster, although there's still a competition going for the 5th starting spot between Landon Roop and Hayden Birdsong, and those two will be pitching tomorrow in Sacramento, and Joel Peguero will be the 3rd pitcher on the mound. A lot to be determined in that game in Sacramento. The most important is this game will decide who gets that 5th spot in the rotation between Roop and Birdsong. That's going to be a tough choice. And, of course, the Giants aren't hoping for one or the other to fail. But if both do well, that'll make the decision that much more difficult for sure. And then after Sacramento, the Giants get to San Francisco for 2 final exhibition games against the Detroit Tigers. I'm not sure. I guess the Tigers, I should take a look at their schedule, but they must be in California. I was going to say the Bay Area, but nope, they wouldn't be playing the A's in Oakland. But it's the Tigers in San Francisco for 2 final exhibition games. And those are the 2 crucial games that we'll find out what the status of Jung-Hoo Lee is. He's hoping to make his first game appearances by then and get those 2 games in before the regular season on Thursday in Cincinnati. And if he is able to play those 2 games without pain, without discomfort, and feeling comfortable, at the plate, then he would start on the opening day roster. I am a little skeptical that's going to happen. A back is a tricky injury, and spasms come and go, and you just don't want to force it. So the scenario in which Grant McCray is on the roster as the center fielder is looking more and more likely. And remember, the opening day pitcher for the Giants will be Logan Webb, and he'll be up against the hard-throwing Hunter Green. All right, back to Zack Gelof and the A's. The A's thought that their second baseman might miss a couple days after taking a pitch to the hand on Wednesday, but according to Martin Gallegos of the A's beat for the MLB.com, Mark Kotsay, the manager, said before today's game that, quote, there's been no improvement over the last 2 days. It turned into a concern today. Kotsay said Gelof might get an MRI on his hand, which is still swelling. And if there's anything there, then that turns into an issue. And And that's a tough loss to swallow for the A's. Gelof was having a really nice spring, hitting .297 with 2 home runs. He's 11 for 37 and was just a good person to plug into that lineup. And now they have questions there. They'll try to get him some live at-bats before Thursday's opener in Seattle. But that all depends on, first of all, the MRI, what comes out of that, and his comfort level. Thankfully, they do have some nice potential replacements, especially Luis Urias. He's had a strong camp after being signed to a 1-year deal just before spring training. He's hitting .333 with a .953 OPS in 42 at-bats. Kotze was quoted as saying, "I feel pretty confident with him being able to step in there." Urias, you may know, may not know, was a regular for the Milwaukee Brewers in 2021 and 2022, hitting 23 home runs and 16 home runs those 2 years. He was a good on-base plus power guy. He had an OPS of .790 and .739 for those years, which is pretty good for a middle infielder. But he's only played 93 games in the last 2 years. And that was between 3 teams, the Brewers, Red Sox, and Mariners. So he would be getting back to regular action for the first time in 3 years. Kotze has liked what he's seen. He's still only 27, and he is the best option right now. There are others who could fill in. I don't know if they would be starters, but they have flexibility to back up Urias if it's needed, and that's Max Schumann. He's hitting only .214, and Max Muncy, who's hitting .289 for the spring. They're part of the mix, and both can play multiple positions. And Schumann is definitely targeted for making the roster. Max Muncy, if he makes it, it will be his first time on a Major League roster, and he would be poised to make his Major League debut. Other A's notes. Jeffrey Springs had a really nice last spring outing today. He had 8 strikeouts in 4 innings, only 1 run on 3 hits, 2 walks. So that takes care of some of the concerns that were kind of hovering over him after his last 2 appearances against the Giants. But he did very well today. And then Brent Rooker hit his 2nd home run in as many games, so he's dialing in with his power. The A's are now 16-13 on the spring, and they have 2 final spring games in Arizona. Sunday, tomorrow, it'll be the A's against the Cubs. Osvaldo Bido gets 1 final tune-up, and he's hoping to straighten things out a little bit. He's got a 9.24 ERA in 12 2/3 innings. The A's are definitely hoping to see some progress there. And Monday, the A's finish their spring training schedule against the White Sox. J.P. Sears gets his last tune-up, and he's had a really nice spring, 3.63 ERA, 14 strikeouts, and 17 1/3 innings. Then they'll have 2 days off before opening the season with a 4-game series in Seattle. The A's home opener in Sacramento is the following Monday night, March 31st, against the Cubs. Will be wild. I'm really excited about that. That'll just be a 3-game series before they head out for a quick 3-game road trip to Colorado. Then they return to Sacramento for a 6-game homestand with early interleague play against the Padres and Mets. I wanted to backtrack a bit on what I said about Dwayne Kuiper in my previous episode. I should have given it more thought and had a bit more tact in how I described him. The news item on my podcast was that the Giants had extended the contracts of Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow. Very happy about it, but I offered a dig that was not called for, uncalled for, and I wanted to apologize for that. He is, of course, a fan favorite, beloved by the fan base. His home run call is known around the country, ironic given his 1 career home run. He's valued as an old school baseball guy, has dry wit, makes you feel comfortable with the game he calls. He's like an old pair of slippers. He's a straight man to Mike Krukow's funny guy. The two are an amazing duo. All I really wanted to say is that Krukow is my favorite, and that's where I should have left it. All right, that's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Sacramento's Curveballs and Changeups with me, your host, Steve Harmon. You can find Sacramento's Best Baseball podcast on Spotify and other platforms where you can find podcasts. Until next time, lay off the slider low and away.